Hi guys, hello gals. It's Isopods and more with me. And it's Friday. I hope everything's going well with you and you're taking care of yourselves and the ones you love. Be it that it's Friday, today is the, I believe, third installment of Flip It Friday. Today we're going to take a peek inside of my small Armadillidium Gestroi colony. I bought 10 of them and ended up with 12, so that was nice when it came. But per everything I've heard about them, they are slow to mature and reproduce. And I'm glad that I know that and did the research up front, because had I not, it kind of would have worried me. It still makes me a little bit anxious, but I just now understand the way that they kind of do their thing, and I can accommodate them and lower some of my anxiety. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to actually kind of talk and go through what was going through my mind while I was flipping. So I'm going to stop talking now and get into it. I'm always very nervous doing this, especially with my Gestroi colony, because there's a lot of springtails in this particular bin. And that can be a good thing that they're flourishing, that I set up the environment well and all that, which is what I'm hoping for. But there's a lot more in here than any of my other enclosures, and I understand what that could potentially mean is that my isopods are dying and other things are eating them. This is one of the things that kind of always makes me nervous. I have not been in this bin in terms of flipping things. I'm in it every other day at least, just making sure everything is good, giving them their water and all that. But I have not, since putting them in here, actually lifted the logs, lifted the wood, the bark, and leaves, and done anything like that, aside from if I'm dropping food or things like that. As you are looking at the screen, the wet or moist side is the left, the dry side is the right. One thing I do that I don't see a lot of people do is that I tend to put substrate over the majority of the sphagnum moss in the hydration station. I like to do that just because it can retain moisture a little bit differently. I don't want to say better. And the one thing that is negative about it is that you can't necessarily see it all to verify, I guess, visually how wet that moss is once it's under the substrate, but I do it frequently enough, monitor the moisture level of the soil and all that to make sure it's good. One thing I do tend to do, and I mentioned this in the video with my zebras, is that when I do have a piece of wood on the dry side, I tend to either find one spot where it will drip through to the back, or just keep one side of it somewhat moist. I actively put a couple drops of water on it. Again, I just like to offer a little bit of variety in forms of the types and access to moisture that they have. And I also tend to, as I build their enclosures, stack different layers to allow water to just disperse a little more freely, and again offer varieties of moisture levels, and whether it's direct moisture, humidity, or moisture that has accumulated on a leaf or something like that. Or they can drink it from the sphagnum moss. Again, it gives them a lot of options, and I like that. So let's flip our first piece. We got one little guy down there. And I think, yeah, little tuck and roll there. Let me get the focus. And well, first, man, those springtails, I say they're very active here, but I love about the Gestroi, but nature and isopods in general, but they're just beautiful to watch, even in a quick glance like this. But then when you look closer, and you see the color patterns, the skirtings, that's all so much more beautiful with just taking the time and looking a little deeper. So we had our two in there, and in this leaf coming up, I actually had a piece of shrimp, and I'll show some morning wood in there. They stole the piece of shrimp and left the rest. There were also some fish flakes in there that they took, so that's good. Move some of this stuff. I'm probably a lot more delicate than I need to be, but I'll get there eventually. There's not much to flip in this bin, so that's maybe a good thing. I am particularly proud of this piece. Was almost entirely covered with moss that I found outside. There's another few pieces in here that you'll see, and I'm actually kind of propagating some of my own now I'm excited about. And oh man, I hate disturbing these guys because they're, you know, delicate, but they are so beautiful. Look at that. It's a little disappointing that these guys have been so slow to do their thing, because this is the species I want to put on display. But I like that. It's a challenge and fun. It's not easy. And oh man, look at that. They are absolutely beautiful. I didn't see any juveniles or little iso babies, sadly, but again, I'm very happy at the way these guys are getting a lot bigger. They were so small when I got them. I'll try to find video and maybe put it up, but I was not very video savvy at the time. Look at that. I wish I would have taken more time to look on the sides, because they will hide in the faces of the wood, those little nooks and crannies, but start putting some of this back, and that about wraps it up, to be honest. In terms of the flipping, I'm going to reorganize here, start to put some more leaves down, some leaf litter. I believe I do some watering, but that is about it. I'm going to put on some music for the rest of this. I do catch a couple of them snacking, but nothing crazy, because again, these are kind of my shy boys. They need to get, you know, a little bit comfortable being out and about, so I'm going to be patient with them. But with all that out of the way, and nothing more to say, thank you for spending some time with me on this Friday. I hope everything's going well with you. You are taking care of yourself and the ones you love. This has been Isopods and more with me. Go easy.